Hi, I'm Nicky Tongue-Tied and I've been drafted in to present one of the first mass podcasts. My partner in crime, AJ, runs this podcast for local bands. It's slightly different from what I do promoting local, but we have a local band here and they've just been on the development stage. We've heard 5 of their tracks and we're going to speak to Mick and the rest of the band about the Kets, who they are, where they've been and what's coming up for them. So, Mick, how are you, sir? Good to see you again.
All right. How are you doing, Nicky?
I'm
nice
good.
to see
I'm
you
good.
again, mate.
So, just give me a run through. The lineup's changed since we last spoke. Tell me about.
One. Yeah, we got young Jacob Elliott in there. He's a genius. I know he's like a utility man. He just does everything. He's sort of like. We'd be lucky to keep hold of him for about 3 weeks, to be honest.
What's your main discipline?
My main discipline?
Music-wise, I'm trying to be sort of expand words.
Oh, I mean, I've been a musician my entire life. I mean, Dad got me my first guitar when I was 3.
Wow.
He showed me open chords, and it was just like.
So you're playing guitars mainly for the Kets?
I am for the Kets. Yeah, I do play a bit of drums as well. When scheduling conflicts around.
These multi-instrumentalists.
It's just
And then we have, I don't know, because we have 2 great guitarists now, and Abby. Also, backing singer, sometimes lead singer. You do a couple of the songs on lead as well, don't you?
Yeah.
You're one of the longer serving members and you have a special affiliation to Mick over here. What's that all about?
Yeah, he's my husband.
Right.
It's hard to hang on to the lead guitarist, man.
You're the bass guitarist. How did you find the stage?
Really good, yeah.
Yeah? Yeah, you enjoyed yourself?
Yeah, very much so.
So just to explain a bit more about what we do here, we have a stage that you will see very shortly as we play some of the performances by the Kets. And these guys have just come off, lots of lighting, professionally produced. And Mick, you've been a musician for quite some time. In terms of the stage you've been on, how did you find it?
I've never seen anything like this in this area. In Hartlepool, this is like it's like a revelation for bands like us. To go on there, you step on that stage and it just puts you in the mood.
Right.
Yeah.
It really does. You really want to give, and it's not very often that even in the northeast, man, the whole region, there's not very many places like this, and to have one here and now is. Yeah, it's
been a lot of work, and AJ's had mass for a good few years now.
Hats off to you guys, mate. Honestly, the amount of work that you put in here. I mean, I've seen this sort of like, a few months back and whatnot, and what you've done with it. Wow.
Well, I was lucky enough to be behind the camera. Yeah, we have to do a bit of multitasking to make this work. And you look great, and the sound was absolutely spot on. So
sounded great.
I guess that would take us nicely into the songs. I'm going to let you go over the songs yourself. Tell us a bit. You did 5 in all.
We did,
and then 3, I think, are going into the final. Tell us about the main 3 that we came to do. We liked you so much, we just kept the camera rolling. Tell us about the 3 that you're going to be focusing on.
So I think the first one was a song called Monster in My Belly.
Right.
And it was based on, I don't know if you've ever smoked before, and it was really hard to pack in smoking.
It is.
It's a hardest addiction to be.
More addictive than heroin is.
Oh, yeah. I mean, back in the day when I was doing me drugs and all that shit. It was, drugs are easy to pack in compared to cigarettes.
And our generation, sorry, I don't mean to cut, but our generation, they were everywhere. I mean, I remember when I tell like my nephew that people are allowed to smoke you could smoke in the cinema back in the day. I mean, who came with that? Who came up with that?
It was good for bronchitis. It was
an anticoagulant, it helped with your heart metabolism.
It helped you get all that phlegm off your chest.
Yeah.
So anyway, the Monster in My Belly, you see, if anybody's ever heard of anybody called Alan Carr, and he's
Alan Carr, the guy who helps you quit.
He does. He's written a book about it, and he's got like this. He can hypnotise you to stop and all sorts of shit. But he's got this theory, which is that nicotine, which is what the addictive part of cigarettes is, dwells within your belly.
Yeah.
And it's a monster, and it lives in the desert of your belly. And every time you take a draw, you're feeding that monster. You're feeding it like water that it needs in the
So
desert.
it's like a parasitic
And it grow- yeah,
entity
it
that
grows.
lives on
The more nicotine-
your addiction to
Yeah.
cigarettes.
So the more nicotine you give it, the stronger it gets in your belly, you know. And you've got to imagine your addiction as a monster in your belly. And when you desist from giving it that life-giving nicotine, the water that it needs, the sustenance that it needs, it dies. It gets smaller and smaller and smaller.
What a
Eventually it
fantastic subject
dies.
for a song, because it's horrific and helpful at the same time.
It is, yes. It's called, I think the chorus goes to that. I've been watching telly, fighting with a monster in my belly. Because you're watching telly, everything you do, it's still there, and it's just niggling away. So go on, have a cigarette, have a cigarette, go on, have a cigarette. And you're fighting it all the time. And
Wow,
that's what's called monster in my belly.
that's cool. And Alan Carr, if you're out there and you need a theme tune for any of your podcasts.
And you're not getting any of the royalties before you set your lawyers on this.
And what about the other two tracks?
So the other one was, it was about the international banking crisis of 2008. I was in
Somehow feels very relevant now.
I had a residency in Ayia Napa in Cyprus, just mainly acoustic, and that year no holidaymakers came because it was everybody was skint and the banks crashed and all people's pensions went and everything. And that song was written about the title was something to do with the banks, and it was just about sort of money and people just wanting to grow and wanting to make it big. And you know, it's always been the same with me, reaching out for things you wouldn't believe. I want the leadership of the factory with nothing in between, you know, like that, go get it.
Yeah.
Everybody's sort of money obsessed, and why we're money obsessed, then the banks are going to just control everything. And if they go, if that all ends, then we're screwed, you know.
Well, they call it kind of the century of the self. I watched a documentary about this, and it's like since the kind of 80s, that the worldview changed very much into, it became about, I'm an individual, if I go out and get it and make it, therefore I deserve it. And I guess bankers had the same kind of philosophy, but they had billions and billions of pounds to mess about with. We've got very political. Is this what the Kets do? They come on a music podcast and make it political.
We're always getting into trouble with our view.
And what's the last one?
And the last one was just, it's an emotional song, and it's about a kind of a whirlwind romance, and the guy was kind of this is lovely, it's great, everything, it's not going to last, so don't worry about that, you know. And then all of a sudden she was gone, and he realised he didn't want it to go, and his world wasn't round anymore, it was misshaped, and he was feeling a bit sad.
And it's called The World Isn't...
It's called The World Wasn't Round.
Wasn't round. Well, I mean, I've got to say that your the craft there, I mean, the ideas are great, that they're not just, you know...
Cheers, man.
I was talking to my mate, Jake Diaz, right, very talented guitarist, and he was saying, I'm sick of people singing about breaking up with their girlfriends. Well, this is like the antithesis of that. Not easy for me to say. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And I mean, I heard them firsthand. And I'm really pleased that you come in, and we had a bit of a further conversation, and you're going to help out my little project promoting local on our first ever gig in Stockton Town Centre.
We will do anything for you. It's not like you help us out,
You're going to
man.
make me blush.
No, really, honestly, you give us a break. You didn't have to, and you saw something in us. And it gives us, you know, because sometimes you need a little bit of a push and somebody to say, you know what, you're not bad, yous. Go on, keep on doing it, because around this area, you know, if you're not a covers band or a function band, you tend to get overlooked and nobody's interested in original bands.
But that's the whole point. That's the whole point of what we're doing. You came on the show, sadly, well, not sadly, I stepped away from the Red Radio, but you came on, might have even been I think my second or third last show before I left to come and do this.
That was really good. I enjoyed that, by the way.
It was great. And big up to the Red Radio and Dave and Daz and all the guys over there. It was a good experience. And even though I have a face for radio, I've been pushed in front of the camera now, so here I am.
No, you were really good at it, honestly. You just flowed. I was thinking, he's on there talking to thousands of people.
This is actually much better. I'm not messing about with, you know, editing and desks but no. But anyway, I digress. This isn't about me. This is about you guys, and thanks. So that'll be the 17th of May. Stockton Town Centre will be working alongside the market there with Jason Maxwell as well from Stockton Bid, who's in who helps out with promoting local. But this is a mass podcast, and I just want to say thanks a lot for coming on. This is one of our first
welcome,
ones,
man.
and you don't have to thank us for supporting you. You are what music is all about. There's a place for covers and all the rest of it. I'm not here to
Absolutely.
denigrate that, but if people stop writing and creating, and especially in a local context, then everything's going to be gentrified. It'll be the music version of a Starbucks on every corner, and I like a coffee, but yeah, I also, you know, sometimes you need to have your own like original stuff going out. Anyway, that's been me rambling. This has been the Kets, and very soon you're going to see the tracks we spoke about. I've been Nicky Tongue-Tied. This has been a Mass Podcast, and I hope you've enjoyed it.